Changes are coming for the state agency charged with keeping children safe. This year, lawmakers overwhelmingly passed legislation to improve the Department of Children and Families.
This comes in the wake of some very tragic cases, too. Your chief political reporter, Susan Raff, live in the state capitol with how this could save lives. Susan.
Stephanie, in some of these tragic cases, homeschooling was involved, which is why lawmakers wanted to do something this year to protect children. That legislation was, however, controversial. But when it came to DCF legislation, everyone was on board. The cases are more than tragic. Jacqueline Mimi Torres Garcia, an 11-year-old girl found dead inside a plastic bin. And more recently, Eve Rogers, a 12-year-old found dead in her Enfield bedroom. Police say she had been sexually assaulted by her stepfather. These cases share similarities. The children were all homeschooled and at one time had involvement with DCF. Representative Corey Paris helped craft legislation to improve DCF, which he says may have helped protect Mimi.
If anyone is going out of state, they have to notify DCF if they're going to be gone for 14 days or more.
Family members told investigators Mimi was taken out of state. And according to warrants in the case, Mimi's mom had someone impersonate her when DCF did a virtual check. In another case, a report this month by the Office of the Child Advocate found a child had committed suicide after a meeting with DCF. The legislation creates a special oversight committee, which brings everyone together, including foster parents, and provides $2 million for more staff and training. The Republican House leader says it was a unanimous vote.
This sort of restores, I think, more discretion with DCF to do what's best by the child and not necessarily what's best by the family.
DCF's commissioner says these collaborative efforts will lead to improved oversight and enhanced data sharing and accountability so that DCF has the tools, training, and support needed to better serve children and families. The DCF legislation, we are told, will take effect immediately after Governor Lamont signs it. And right now, we believe he plans to do that. Your chief political reporter, Susan Raff, Channel 3 Eyewitness News, live at the state capitol.
Susan, thank you.